Let's be honest. If you're using the cloud, there's a good chance your data is a sprawling, expensive, and frankly, a complex mess. So today, we're going to break down the strategy to finally get a handle on its entire life cycle, from the moment it's created to the day it's deleted.
So let's just start with a quick question. I want you to picture your organization's cloud data right now. Is it like a perfectly organized library, where you can find anything in seconds? Or is it more like a chaotic digital attic, just crammed with stuff you're not even sure you need anymore? To figure out how to even begin organizing that attic, we first need to appreciate the sheer complexity of the maze that most of us are trying to navigate these days.
The reality for almost everyone is that data isn't in one neat box anymore. Nope, it's scattered all over the place. AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, you name it. And this sprawl creates a perfect storm. Storage costs that just keep climbing, really serious security gaps, and a compliance headache that just never seems to go away. So how in the world do we start to tackle this chaos? Well, the key is a surprisingly simple but really powerful idea. Not all data is created equal. The whole strategy starts by understanding its temperature.
And this concept has a name: data lifecycle management. At its core, it's just a smart, policy-based way to manage data from the moment it's born to the moment it's deleted, all based on how its value changes over time.
This whole temperature idea breaks down into three pretty simple tiers. You've got hot data. This is the stuff you need right now for things like real-time analytics. It's critical, but it's also expensive to store. Then there's warm data for things you don't access as often, like recent reports. And finally, you've got cold data. This is the stuff you rarely, if ever, touch. It's just kept for archival or compliance reasons, which means it should be on the absolute cheapest storage you can find.
Okay, so we get the what and the why. Now let's get practical. How do you actually sit down and build a data policy that's clear and actually works?
It's actually a pretty straightforward three-step process. First, you have to classify your data, figure out what you have and why it matters to the business. Second, you define the rules for each type of data, how long to keep it, when to archive it, and when it's time to say goodbye. And third, and this is the absolute game changer, you automate it. Theory is great, right? But let's see how this actually plays out in the real world. We're going to look at two very, very different types of data to see how their policies would be completely different. First up, let's talk about transient log data. This is all the information your systems are generating constantly. It's incredibly valuable for troubleshooting something that just happened, but its value just drops off a cliff very, very quickly. So the policy for this kind of data is driven purely by cost. For the first 30 days, you keep those logs on expensive, fast storage so you can analyze them right away. But after that, you move it quickly to cheaper warm storage, and then to even cheaper cold storage. After a year, it's gone, securely deleted. The whole life cycle is designed to be aggressive on cost saving. Okay, now for our second case study. Let's look at the complete opposite: highly sensitive and heavily regulated customer data, or PII. See the difference? It's night and day. The policy here isn't about saving a few bucks. It's all about security and compliance. The data stays hot as long as the customer is active. Then it completely skips warm storage and goes directly into a secure, long-term archive for legal reasons, often for 7 years or even longer. And when it's time to delete it, it's not just deleted, it's a certified secure deletion process.
But here's the reality check. Having a perfect policy written down in a document is, well, it's useless if you can't enforce it consistently across every single cloud platform every single day.
I mean, trying to manage all this manually, it's a recipe for disaster. This is the point where automation stops being a nice-to-have and becomes an absolute necessity. It's the engine that turns your policy from a piece of paper into a real-world data managing machine.
So why is automation non-negotiable? Because it wipes out costly human error, which is probably your single biggest security risk. It ensures you're compliant 24/7, not just when someone remembers to check. It works around the clock to optimize your storage costs. And maybe most importantly, it guarantees that your carefully designed policies are always enforced. No exceptions. And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? The ultimate goal of a great data lifecycle strategy isn't to create more work for your team. It's to build a system that's so reliable and so automated that it protects your data, saves you money, and keeps you compliant without you even having to think about it. So after all this effort, what's the real payoff? What's the bottom line? Let's quickly look at the benefits before we wrap up with one last thought. The impact here is massive. You get these huge wins in cost savings and security. By turning that chaotic digital attic into an automated, organized library, you slash your storage bills, you strengthen your security and compliance, and, just as importantly, you drastically cut down on all that tedious manual work. That frees up your team to focus on things that actually matter.
And that brings us to our final question. In a world where your data is more scattered and more valuable than ever before, putting a lifecycle policy in place isn't just a tech project. It's about deciding who's really in control of your organization's digital legacy. Is it you, or is it the chaos?